shoot, I'll sell it to you for $5,000. You know, I've had that happen before where they literally sold me land for pennies because they forgot that they had it. It was getting ready to be taken at tax auction because they hadn't paid any taxes. They didn't know it was theirs.
So let's talk about why wholesaling and why land.
Yeah. Man, land. So wholesaling is like you said, it's kind of a dime a dozen nowadays. Everybody's wholesaling. Everybody knows about wholesaling. That's even slightly in the industry.
Still an amazing vehicle though, where you can make big chunks of cash with very little risk on your side.
So true.
Right? No cash, no credit, contract, which is your investment instrument, right? And the ability to connect with cash buyers and other industry professionals. Like it's probably one of the most incredible vehicles that I've found.
Yeah, right? I agree. Like like you said, you don't have to put any money up. I mean, maybe a little bit of earnest money here and there, but you're not risking huge amounts of money. And you can make just as much as a flipper who, puts 150, 200 grand at risk.
Mm-hmm. And,
they take 4 or 6 months, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, to come out with the same amount of profit as you can make on some of these wholesale deals.
Yeah.
When it comes to single family. But to your point, why land? So land is, as with almost, you'll find anything in business, the higher the barrier to entry, usually the higher the reward, the less competition. But there's that barrier you have to jump over.
Yeah.
Right. And with land, it's kind of a sweet spot. And I'm, this is that abundance mentality because I want more people in land because I need more deals and I can't find all the deals by myself.
Yeah.
Right. But the reality is that there is a barrier to entry, and that barrier is knowledge. The knowledge that you have to have for land is more than you need to wholesale single family houses. We're not even getting to the actual development and building side of things, but just a wholesale. There's a lot more due diligence that you have to do up front as the wholesaler to get a land deal done. But with that comes hardly any competition. I mean, there's people that are calling on land, but most of the time it's by accident.
Yeah.
They pull a list off PropStream and there's vacant land on that list, and they call it. But there's very few people that are targeting land in comparison to how many people are targeting single families. That comes with less irritable sellers. I've gotten sellers before, dude, who I call them about this piece of land. They're like, what piece of land are you talking about? And I give them the tax map number and I kind of, name some cross streets. And they're like, oh yeah, I forgot Granny left me that piece of land like a few years back. I forgot I owned it. Shoot, I'll sell it to you for $5,000. I've had that happen before where they literally sold me land for pennies because they forgot that they had it. It was getting ready to be taken at tax auction because they hadn't paid any taxes. They didn't know it was theirs. So that's not every case, but you get that kind of stuff. That's the general vibe of when you call these people that's got land, Now you do have some people that got generational land and they'll cuss you out forever thinking they'll sell, their grandpa's farm, and that's fine. And, in some ways that's good. I don't like overwhelming development where you're, just destroying farmland for no reason, but it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Development is going to happen. It's the march of life, right? But then the other part of that, dude, is the fees you make, because these people who buy the vacant land, like especially if it's multiple acres, right? You're looking at 10, 20, 40, 100 acres. These people who are buying that, they're going to take that. They're going to do what's called entitle it with the city, which gives them the right to develop it. And then they're going to build 200, 250, 300 single family houses or townhomes or something. And the retail value of that project on the back end is so huge, they don't care that you as a wholesaler are making $300,000. That does not even matter to them.
Yeah, they just need opportunity. It's got to make sense on paper, and they need more opportunities to build.
And they got machines to feed, big corporate machines. They could care less, or couldn't care less, if you're making multiple six figures on a fee, as long as you know how to help them get the deal closed.
All right, so let's break it down real quick, just so somebody that's watching can get an idea of what some of these developers are actually willing to pay for a piece of land, right?
Yeah.
So if we're to break it down, we'll just say by acre to keep it very standard. On average, you would say about four lots per acre.
Well, that's going to all depend on the zoning. Yeah.
Different in every city, obviously, right?
Yep. And that's going to affect the value majorly.
True. Location.
Yep. Because like, for example, 4 per acre might be semi-rural or semi-suburban, whereas urban, you might have 6, 8 per acre, especially if it's townhomes or
all these new builds that houses are like that close together. So hard to look at it, right? But if we're just putting a blanket statement, writing it down on a napkin across the board for a person to simply digest.
Say per lot is a really good.
Okay.
Yep. So the best way to look at if something's somewhat financially feasible is you need to, like you always do, pull comps and see like, what am I trying to build here? Or what would a developer try to build? See what those are selling for as close to new build as you can. Obviously, you want to be in areas where there is new building going on. So what are the new builds selling for that you're going to build, right? Let's say 250 in that example. I'm pulling my calculator because public math is hard. So, and then let's say you have a 10-acre piece that can get, let's pretend this 250 is a townhome price, right? Let's say you got a 10-acre piece that you can get 80 townhomes on, right?
Okay.
There you go. All right. So you got 250 is the total price of the final built out piece. And then you're going to multiply that by the total amount of units that you can fit on the parcel. So we said in this example, we're going to use 80 townhomes. So 250,000 per townhome times 80 townhomes is $20 million. So $20 million is the retail value of the fully built development. That's what we're estimating they're going to be able to sell all 80 townhomes for total. And here's a really basic formula. Whatever that retail value is, most developers are going to want to be all in on their land. Like the person who builds builds the actual buildings, wants to buy the land all in for between 15 to 20% of the total build value. So that would be, I'm going to do 15. 15% would be $3 million. That's what the builder can buy all the lots for once they're developed. Right?
So for the person that's watching, we got 20 million up there, which we got from, we're looking at comps close to this site plan.
Yep.
Close to this lot where the houses are selling for $250 a unit.
Correct.
Based on a 10-acre plot, and we're assuming that 80 townhomes can be built in that, which would be roughly 8 per acre, right? That's how we got this number. So we multiply the two, coming up with 20,000.
Correct.
Multiply
20 million.
20 million. Multiply that times 0.15, which is 15%, which gets us
$3 million.
$3 million acquisition price for the land.
Yep.
On the end buy side.
Now, this is what the developer is going to sell the lots to a builder for, right?
After entitlement?
After entitlement and development, right? And I'm kind of going a little bit deeper, not too much though. That's what the developer is going to sell the land to the builder for after entitlement and development. So another way you can figure out, so what can I offer on it? And the reason I break it down like this is because there's conflicting information out there. Some people say, no, builders will pay 15 to 20%. So you're thinking you can mark up your land to $2.5 million and they're getting a deal. But that's 15 to 20% all in.
Yeah, after it's all trees knocked down, it's been entitled.
Ready to go. They can start building tomorrow. Yep. Right? And so if you want to find out what a developer will pay you for it, right? So then I want to do that 20 million, which again is the retail value of all of them.
Yep.
And I typically, I'm trying to bring value to my developers. I want to bring them good deals. So I just do a back of the napkin and I say times 0.0, between 6 and 8%. I'll say 0.08. That's 1.6 million. Right? So realistically, I could bring a piece of land to a developer somewhere around 1.4, 1.6 million for that piece. And it's likely that this might be a deal.
Yep.
The developer can sell it for $3 million after they put in $500,000 and $600,000 development costs, and everybody makes a lot of money, right? Now, sometimes you'll have big things that come up that affect that, which you have to get into the deep due diligence, but this is just a back of the napkin. Is this even somewhat financially feasible? So if the seller in that example was asking 1.1 million, that might scare most wholesalers away, right? I don't know if I can wholesale $1.1 million property, but if I know a developer in that area, as long as there's no big red flags, they'll pay for that kind of development 1.4 million. Well, then I have a $300,000 spread right there, right?